This was clearly not meant to be only a third Deadpool sequel film. Rather, it was made to stand as a buddy team-up movie, one that was years in the making, hinted throughout all the past Deadpool films, with both stars in this equally sharing a spotlight. The marketing for this film has been a creative wave itself, but it's not a surprise when you have Ryan Reynolds on the project. Anytime this man gets his hands on the marketing, he cooks up something entirely creative that captures your imagination. That even pertains to the Wolverine popcorn bucket, the blatant rehash of the Doom bucket. It got mouths yapping, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters to marketing teams. This movie splashes onto the big screen with one of the most ingenious film openings of all time, one of the most innovative inserts of opening credits I've seen to this day. The intro completely reshaped how I view the song Bye 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 by NSYNC after watching the Red Rocket film. By the way, go watch Red Rockets. It's an amazing film and it'll change the way you view people as a whole. Putting up these two legendary characters together on screen for the first time alone would have guaranteed the studio dump trucks worth of cash. But they seasoned in some great storytelling into the main course. Two lost heroes who strive to feel important to themselves and to the world. A powerful motive for characters that always strut along the white lines of heroism and their demons. For Deadpool, this was set up since the first movie, with Wade Wilson yearning for praise but brushing it off his shoulder. The moment that immediately came to mind for me was in the first film when Wade was finishing a mercenary job dealing with a young adult male who was stalking a young girl. Deadpool goes to tell this girl that the job is done, but immediately after he turns his back to leave, so he can't receive the praise that he senses is coming. He walks away and waves her off, never showing his face, but you can just tell this man loved being her hero. It's some beautiful storytelling. I think many, especially myself, were tired of the concept of the multiverse being overly inserted into every media. It became an overused rag that studios didn't know when to finally throw out when it became too sticky to use. But this film, I think, changed the game. For once, the idea of alternate realities and variants became a fun concept. It provided brand new ideas that utilized this concept to its fullest extent. The jokes were very meta, as always, and innovatively pushed every scene forward with a stroke of brilliance. You can never grow tired of Deadpool's style of humor. Even if he's dwelling on the same jokes, there's always something new to add and poke fun at with the same topic. The studios allowed this type of comedy to pass because they knew if you can't laugh at yourself, then you have no sense of fun or humor. The one pullback on these quips is that prior knowledge of Marvel movies as a whole and outside real life information is needed to fully grasp these punchlines. Otherwise, it'll become another standard line told through Ryan's slightly high pitched voice. Beside that, the film maintained a solid pace. I don't think it dragged. I think every single scene pushed the story and jokes further. Once again, Reynolds is perfectly tailored for this character. Casted way back in that one Wolverine movie, The World Wishes It Could Forget, Reynolds put as much as himself into that half baked version of Wade that we know. While Reynolds may be playing a heightened version of himself, he's ensured that his acting chops are still put to use. Somehow, this man knowingly expresses how this character is feeling in the moment to the audience with the mask on. Not many can pull that trick off. And Hugh Jackman, another perfect casting. Hugh steps right back into this role as if he never left. Playing a variant that the audience isn't too familiar with helped. He was able to bring a new side of Logan to the table with a depressed, self-hating version of this character that we've come to adore. This Wolverine's past, while tragic, can be a bit of a head scratcher though. As stated in the trailers, it's said that the X-Men of his world are dead, but the explanation provided during the movie made little sense. The mutants are powerful beings, some of which are Omega level threats, like Storm and Cyclops, and yet they were explained away being annihilated by weak means, making it a bit too convenient for Deadpool to find a somewhat perfect version of Logan that he required. The chemistry between these two characters felt like a page ripped out of the comics and out of real life. The massive, seemingly never ending press tours showcased how well Ryan and Hugh got along with each other. That connection oozes through their numerous scenes together, pushing jokes and their acting chops further. Their relationship will want anyone drooling for more, and with the cash the film is making, there's no way we don't get a follow up of some kind. Unfortunately, as someone who liked the past Deadpool films, not many of the supporting cast have major screen time, which is ironic for a film and a character centered around the love of family. The main gripe of this choice, too, personally for me, Colossus. This mutant was a fun, powerful person to follow along with a sparkling, classic Boy Scout personality. He was the metal variant of Superman, preaching hope and heroism at every turn. It's a shame to have his screen time reduced to a single digit time limit. It's also saddening that Wade's love interest, Vanessa, had been sidelined in this. Her character was a major staple to the first film and to Wade Wilson's life, with a talented actress bringing this love to life. But with every sequel, I guess there is a need to create a conflict that the main character must overcome. The main villain, Cassandra Nova, is played exquisitely to a menacing and yet calm angle. The character pushes the boundaries of what psychic abilities can actually do. There are plenty of terrifying sequences that'll make you quench your butt cheeks when you see it. It's a good thing Professor X is a good guy, as I'd fear for the world what he'd do if he wasn't. Speaking of sequences, I have to give the director Sean Levy and his team props for what they brought to the table. An action movie that focuses on the action when it appears, to allow the audience to actually take it in and breathe in its beauty. There's rarely a shaky cam. To be fair, there is a single one, but Levy ensured that the camera remains in place or tags directly along with the action as it moves. This film has some of the most brutal yet beautiful action sequences I've seen to date, at times, I would say, rivaling what John Wick 4 pulled off. Levy somehow manages to manipulate cramped and tight locations into a large space like the inside of a car. There are some long takes, particularly one at the end, that I imagine took weeks to choreograph into the perfection that we see it as. I can't describe the joy I felt watching this particular dolly shot sequence. It's cinema at its finest. This film deserves all the praise it will get, and hopefully, if there's ever a stunt category opening up at the Academy Awards, Deadpool and Wolverine will get its praise from the industry, surpassing the label of a silly comic book film. A major issue that shackles the film, though, is the finale of the third act. The ending has a few rapid resolutions that simply occur with little to no reason or explanation. One example is for the supporting characters that later support Deadpool and his goals. They wish to achieve their happy ending, but are left behind in the dust with no closure. Instead, these people are treated like tools to discard once their purpose has served. To quote Deadpool himself, well, that's just lazy writing. One minor point that made me scratch the dandruff out of my hair was the moment when Wolverine begins to fight Deadpool. Wolverine does not know who Deadpool is, nor does he know that he has a healing factor, and yet Logan's first instinct was to deeply stab Wade in his ribs. In that no hesitation moment, Wolverine could have killed the man, despite not having clear information about the moment at hand. I still can't tell if that's strong character writing or just a mindless act to get these action figures to fight. While certain points in the story might be messy, this was still a blast to sit through. It was an adventure, and I'm glad I was seated for the ride. Oh, yeah, and there's some cameos.